Hello, my fellow Ferrante fannies, and welcome to another edition of the Ammon View podcast, the only Livingston FC-based podcast brought to you in surround sound, baby. As usual, I am joined by my co-host Jake Pointer.
Hello.
And regular Meadowbank moaners Owen Innes, Thomas Froh, and Mr. Stephen Povey.
Hello.
Oh.
This week's content is as hot as the cheese on a freshly pressed panini. We'll look back at Livingston's pathetic Parkhead pounding, but afterwards we're bringing you the interview of the year so far as we chat all things West Lothian with former Livingston centre-half, the legendary Oscar Ramos Rubio.
And instead of looking back at memories against Aberdeen, because we've played them about 700 times already this season, we'll instead be arguing the cases of former Livingston and Don stars to be put in the joint Livy-Aberdeen Hall of Fame.
You are the passengers. We are the conductors. Get your tickets at the ready and prepare to be taken from boredom to Content City on the Speedway Express with us here at the Ammon podcast. Choo choo!
Saturday the 10th of April started with so much promise. I found a £5 in my jeans pocket, and it turned out I had a Yorkie in the fridge left over from Easter. However, Saturday evening started with sheer pain. Livingston fell to a 6-0 defeat to the hands of Celtic at Parkhead to inflict the Lions' biggest defeat back in the top flight since our promotion in 2018. We won't dwell too long, I hope, but I thought it would be appropriate to give the boys an opportunity to greet their wee tears. So Thomas, why don't you start us off?
Oh geez, wasn't what we wanted. And after some good results against Celtic over the last couple of years, it was kind of inevitable that it would happen at some point. And I think there's no positives from the game, really. I wouldn't say. You just need to kind of move on from it. You can't really take anything from it. Just move on to next week. It's fine. You're not going to be playing Celtic every week. It's kind of typical of Celtic to kind of come good because I think they played well, to be fair. And probably better than I've seen them at most through most of this season. Mm-hmm. They played well. But, yeah, I mean, we were poor. We were very poor. But it's our first big defeat since coming back up. It's our first defeat in Celtic this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's some record, to be fair. I don't have a massive amount to kind of talk about the game itself because it was what it was. But forget about it. Move on to the next week and try and secure European football. Maybe.
Let's not open that can of worms. I will correct us though. Celtic did beat us 3-2 at the start of the season.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
that was the Julian Serrano scored from about 400 yards. Yeah, great finish. Owen, what about yourself? What do you have to say on the Celtic defeat?
Absolutely nothing. Thank you.
Povey?
Well, it's the first game I've actually missed. Watching live, or he's go live. I suppose sometimes like a minute later. But no, it's the first game I've not sat down and watched. I was sitting by a lovely loch. I was getting alerts, and then it was 2-0, and then I didn't look at my phone. Had a bit of crack. Put money on Jet and Black Lion each way for the Grand National. Now, that was exciting. So I'm sitting by a loch, standing about with the radio on like an old man. And it was Jet was in front, Jet's in the lead, Jet's... I was like, oh my God, I love Jet. You should have heard me at this loch. Like, I love Jet. And then... right at the end, Jet, I don't know, I think it became about 11th or something. But Black Lion, £4 each way. And I got about, I don't know, 50 quid or something. I can't remember. It was because in sixth place. So, yeah, so the Grand National was great. Oh, wait. Listen, I saw the highlights the other day. Celtic looked brilliant, to be fair. Much better team. And I can't really say much, From the highlights, it looked like Forrest had a good chance. I'll be honest with McCrory. He made some good saves. I'm not going to bash him too much. I just kind of got the vibe. Now, again, I didn't watch the game. I don't know if any of us did, but I didn't watch it, so I can't tell. But for every goal, it just seemed like even John Guthrie was just standing off and just I don't know, seemed a bit pussy, from the defence in general. Devlin made mistakes, Fitzwater, just standing off, but fair play, Celtic were the better team. Listen, just remember, when we finished third as well, we got pumped 5-1 off Celtic at the split. We got some great results. Different teams, I suppose, but hey-ho. I'm not too fussed. I think we'll be all right. We'll get the points needed.
Had we look at the highlights earlier, I know Owen was sort of on Saturday anyway, said that instantly the first goal was down to McCrory and Fitzwater. I actually had a look back at the highlights, and Sibbald completely loses his man.
Yeah.
It's mental how bad that was. Second goal, deflection, again, Bartley and Longridge just leaving two men the middle of the box, nothing really, no one sort of going to attack the defend. Third goal, OG. It's a shame. It was going miles wide. Fitzwater gets a leg on it. Nothing you can do. Fourth goal, that Elianusi, he just curled it into the top corner. Fucking, you can't stop those. Again, as Povey was saying, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth goal were all just down to folk backing off, and in particularly Guthrie, as you said, he just wasn't going in at all. You're 4 or 5-0 down. Why are you still standing off them? The goal difference is probably going to be a massive factor if St Johnstone get their act together, and that's the only sort of positive, is that they've still got 2 games against the Old Firm.
Mm.
They've lost a winnable game against Aberdeen. As you said, Povey, I'm sort of fairly confident that we'll sort of get over the line. But yeah, I had a look. St Johnstone got beat 7-0 off Celtic last season. It's not talked about. Aberdeen a few years ago got beat 9-0. It's never talked about. 6-0 for Celtic against a team like Livingston. It's not. No one read that score and went, "Oh yeah, fucker. Oh yeah, bam." Look at that. Everyone just looked at me and, all right, okay, Celtic must be at it again. So, what about yourself, Jake? Do you have anything?
Again, I think he's mostly covered it. I just feel like the pitch just looked absolutely massive at the weekend. We just didn't look like we were anywhere near them at any point. That Christopher Ayer run, when he just literally, the guy was just running straight forward, and we were just kind of running at him and running away. He said, as Povey said before, James Forrest playing again looked good. I liked the idea that they were that kind of match up. They were playing against each other, which is cool. But James definitely had his wee brother's pants down quite a lot. But like you said, move on. I think we're going to be all right. It was coming though. It was coming. We had too much good form against them for too long. I knew they were going to want to batter us at some point, and finally living up to the potential of that team. But we move on.
Thomas.
Yeah, so I was going to go back to excuses territory and touch on something that Jake said. I think we're actually struggling on big parks. I think when we can't get the intensity down, because you look at the cup final as well, when we can't have the intensity and we can't be up in teams' faces off the ball, we seem to really, really struggle, and teams we can't seem to adapt to it. So to talk about something a bit more serious about the game, it does seem to be becoming a bit of a trend on these bigger parks. Now, I've played 11s in Livy's Park, and it felt fucking huge. But, obviously, Hampden's big park, Celtic's a big park, and we seem to see a bit of a similar trend going on here. Our press doesn't work as well. We don't seem to win the ball back as well. Whereas when you look at when we played Celtic at home last time, we were winning the ball back in good areas, and we just don't seem to do that on bigger pitches. So maybe that's somewhere that Davey needs to work on. I'll send him a wee text.
Yeah, you text him, eh?
I think for me, a lot of so I think I raised this before on a few weeks ago, that like we sort of compared the games that we've had against Celtic, in particular the past couple of seasons. Celtic last season and Celtic this season are two completely different entities. But like we go back to that, the reason why we're so maybe not so upset about this game, because it's Celtic and they can do that, as I said before, to any team. Either side of the offer. Hamilton got beat 8-0 off of Rangers this season. No one remembers that. No. Like, it's just one of these things that happens when the Old Firm are on their game and a wee team aren't. Like, Celtic could take 6 off Hibs next week. Like, it's just one of those. But during the time, especially this season with Celtic, we played them back-to-back during one of the most mental seasons ever, during one of the most mental periods for Celtic alone, with the whole COVID and Dubai fiasco. So I mean, those games, as brilliant as it was not losing to them and keeping a clean sheet again at Celtic Park, getting a draw at Livingston, like I looked at the stats from the Celtic Park game, we had 15 shots on goal, but only one was on target. Right, that's not good enough from a Premier League team. But Celtic had 7 shots and 2 on target. So, but I think it's just we were playing teams during that unbeaten run, and we were playing Celtic at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtic we played on Saturday is what you expect from them, which is, and it's just, again, they're playing us at the right time. We've got nothing to play for. We're pretty much guaranteed 5th place. They've got nothing to play for. So they're just relaxed as fuck now. And we're not chucking it or anything. Like, as I said, we're going to be in 5th place, which is amazing. But yeah, I think comparing it to the sort of the previous Celtic games is a bit like, it's not null and void, but it's two completely different teams we're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Owen?
First of all, going with the size of the pitch thing, I kind of agree and kind of don't, because it is kind of 50-50. But remember when we were talking about the cup final, we were talking about St Johnstone. St Johnstone's pitch and Hampden's pitch are the two biggest pitches in Scottish football. And we obviously struggle. We seem to always struggle against St Johnstone at McDermott Park, and we obviously really struggled at Hampden in the cup final. But then you look at how many times we've played Celtic this season. We've played Celtic 4 times this season, 3 times at Parkhead. During those 3 games, we lost 3-2. So we lost by a single goal. And even then, we were incredibly unlucky that we didn't draw that game, because Pignatello missed right in the last minute. We then drew 0-0 with them at home. 0-0 with them at Celtic Park. And then we got absolutely stuffed 6-0. So, the 50-50 thing is coming from, we have struggled on big pitches this season, but we also haven't. I think the main difference is any other time that we played Rangers or Celtic this season, we played 3 at the back. We played 3 centre-backs. Whereas this game, we decided, stuff it, let's go and play the same formation that Celtic play, which we were supposed to be matching up on them, and we just didn't match up to them. I don't think. I think that defeat comes from tactical issues rather than or wrong tactical choices rather than the pitch, if that makes sense. I think it was the wrong formation to be taken against Celtic, who have now got a point to prove. The pressure is now off of Celtic as well, when you think of it. When we were playing Celtic, they were under pressure. At the start of the season, they were obviously, at that point, they were still kind of in the title race. The next two times that we played them, first time they're under pressure because they've got all these young kids having to play because of COVID, and or the COVID restrictions put on them. And then the second time, they were then trying to catch up, and we managed to somehow draw against them. The first twice that we played at Celtic Park this season, I thought we put in very, very good performances. We played incredibly well, I thought, until they scored on Saturday. And once they scored on Saturday, I just had this feeling that shit was going to go bad, and that's why I switched it off. So.
And one final thing before we move on, obviously the return of Alan Lithgow from the bench, who hadn't played since December 2019. I think it was the Ross County game that Dykes got his hat-trick. Played the full 90 and then just never seen him again. But quick round robin of any sort of encouragement. What do you think about Lithgow? Do you think he's going to stay on for another year because he's lost this year? Or is he maybe now just too risky to keep a hold of? Jake?
Yeah, probably a bit too risky to keep a hold of. I thought it was a beat behind. Maybe just a league too good for him. When he was playing before, I think he'd be great in maybe a lower league. And obviously, he misses big throw, but I know it sounds quite negative, but I'm not really that bothered. I'm quite happy just for him to move on. Sorry, Alan, but I think it's time to go. We're pushing. That's the thing. We've got 2 seasons in the top 6 now. I just feel I don't want to just keep these standards of, okay, well, maybe we'll get by. We're pushing. I want to keep striving for being good. I think we need to keep going for players that are going to make the club better, not just keep him just because we think he's sound and he's got a long throw. He tried to start on you, Liam, and I'll never forget that.
I forgot.
No one does that to me. Please tell the podcast the Alan Lithgow story.
It was after Keegan Jacobs' testimonial dinner, so it was before the match. Myself and Jordan Rind got steaming at the function thing, and then we didn't want to go home. So I was like, right, let's nip up to Wetherspoons for one last pint, because it was about 12:30 or something. I think Wetherspoons was shutting at 1. So we walk up the bubble steps, and as we're crossing the zebra crossing at MacArthur Glen, this car comes speeding round the corner out of the McDonald's turning, speeding round the corner, and flies past us when we're on. We should have had right of way, according to the highway code on zebra crossings. So I turned round, or was it one of us turned round and went, "Oh, fucking, that's a zebra crossing, mate, fucking good one." And then we heard the tires screeching. And I was like, fuck. And then this guy got out of the car and he started shouting. I was hiding behind Jordan at this point because he's a lot stronger than me and's probably been in a fight where I've never been. And the guy was like, "Oh, what you saying? What you saying, wee man," or something. And Jordan goes to give him a wee bit. And he's like, "It's a fucking zebra crossing. Are you Alan Lithgow?" The boy just jumped in his car. It was Alan Lithgow just jumped in his car and fucking sped off. And then Jordan, "I was fucking Alan Lithgow. I'm so sorry," shouting as he's speeding away. So, fuck Alan Lithgow, man, for that story alone. Does anyone have any pressing points on Alan Lithgow before we move on? Thomas?
I think it depends what's happening with the rest of the centre halves. Obviously, it's good to see him back. You didn't like seeing a player injured for that long. It's not a long career, and he's been out for a while. And you can't forget what he's done for the club as well. I think first season back, him, Gallagher, and Halkett, they were a great team. and really kind of we showed what we were about with them and kind of helped us really solidify ourselves as coming back up. I guess I don't know the intrinsics of the dressing room, but if he's there and he's motivating the younger players and works hard in training, and I can't expect that he'll want to, well, not he'll want to play every week, but I don't think he'll expect to play every week. So if he's there as like a more experienced player to bring on some of the other boys, I've got no problem with him staying for another season. I don't know what his contractual situation is like, might be up at the end of the year. But it's always good to see a player come back because he's, been with some of the best moments in the past few years with the club. So it's good to see him back. Glad he's fit again.
Owen, what about yourself?
To kind of agree slightly with Thomas, I think it was good to see him come back after obviously being out for quite so long. He's 33. I think he'll be 34 in the summer. I think he's June. So he's the same age as Bartley. I think most of us are, one of us wants Bartley to hang up his boots and just focus on coaching. But with that length of time out of the game, I don't think that he'll be, and now with his advancing years, I don't think that he's going to be up to playing in the Premier League again next season. In terms of the long throw thing, I don't give a fuck about the long throw. It hasn't worked all season. We've scored one goal as a result of a long throw, and I think that was against Hamilton right at the beginning of the season, and we probably lost that game. But I don't really see the need for the long throw anymore. I think it's everybody now knows what we're doing. We can't get a long throw past the front post anymore. So, in terms of would I like Lithgow to stay? If he's gonna play and he's gonna be as good as he has been, then yeah. But I'm not sure with the length of time that he's been out of the game whether or not he's gonna be up to it anymore.
Povey.
I was just going to say that worth having him there because if we get in Europe, then we're going to have plenty of games next season. So chuck him in some League Cup games in the summer, I say. Why not? Do it.
I can't quite believe it at who our next guest is. He was part of the golden era of Livingston in the SPL. A cultured centre-half that made over 120 appearances for the Lions in 4 years, as well as captaining the club on multiple occasions. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome all the way from Spain, League Cup winning defender, Mr. Oscar Rubio!
Oh, thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
So, Oscar, we've kind of sorted a little Spanish phrase, and I want to see, we're going to try it on you. I apologise if I say it wrong. Okay?
Oh, it's okay. Just try.
I'm nervous now. Okay. Damas y caballeros, deja mí presentar a Oscar Rubio al show.
Oh, fantastic. I cannot do it better.
Amazing. Okay, I'm now going to pass you over to Povey, who's going to do a quick fire questionnaire with you.
Okay.
So 10 very quick questions, and you tell me which answer. So I'll just start very quickly. Orange or apple?
Orange.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Ronaldo, original, or Cristiano Ronaldo?
Ronaldo.
Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings.
Stuart Lovell or Lee Makel?
Oof, that's tough. Well, I would say Stuart Lovell, because he was the captain when he was there.
Okay. Beer or wine?
Oof, that's tough as well. When I was at Livy, I wouldn't be a beer drinker. I think a little bit more wine, but it's a difficult one because I depend on the moment.
Okay. Paella or haggis?
Paella, for sure.
Elton John or Freddie Mercury?
Freddie Mercury, but it's a tough one as well.
Yeah. Sergio Ramos or Oscar Montalban Ramos?
Well, it's not good to speak about yourself. So I wish I would have achieved half of Sergio Ramos' career. I think he's one of the best defenders through history. So obviously Sergio Ramos.
Incorrect. It was Rubio. And finally, a lion or a tiger?
Well, I don't know.
Yes. Thank you.
He's the king. He's the king. He's the king of the savannah.
Absolutely.
So,
thank you.
You're welcome.
We obviously came to love you as Livingston supporters, but tell us about your career pre-Livingston. What was your journey to professional football? In particular, how did the move to Real Madrid come about?
Well, I was in the Real Madrid Youth Academy when I was 12. I spent a few years there, and after I came back to my local town, Alcalá de Henares, where Miguel de Cervantes was born. And the local team here was Alcalá, so I went through a few years to Alcalá to the first team. After that, I did my first step as here in Spain, it's like a semi-professional because I went into a B team, that is Mallorca. I moved to Mallorca B team, to the second B division. And we got promoted to the second A, who was a very big achievement because it was the first time in Mallorca history that the first time we was just promoted to La Liga, and the B team we went to the second division A. And I have the option to stay in second A or even Mallorca, another team, and Real Madrid phoned me back to join the Real Madrid Castilla or B team. So I came back to Real Madrid. I went back to my local town in Madrid, and obviously I spent the whole season. I was lucky enough to play for the first team in the Spanish Cup. I was training with them a few days before as well. At the same time, I was a little unlucky because I got a hamstring in the day against versus Valencia. So after that, it was a little of this disappointment and problems with the contract. I signed a new contract with Deportivo La Coruña. I have because Real Madrid sued me because of the contract, blah, blah, blah. And after 6 months of problems, I came back to a team near Madrid that is called Toledo. That is a fantastic city, who was in second A division. I needed to get back to play. So I played like all the second part of the league, like 20 games. And after that, it was my first experience to go to abroad. I went to Portugal to play in the Premier of the Portuguese league. Well, to be honest, that move, it was not good for me because I think I didn't like that much the life in Portugal compared to Spain. So I said to my agents that my place, I wanted to go to Scotland because I knew that they started to do things in Scotland, especially because at that moment, David Fernandez and Sánchez Broto, they were an airdrie in the first division. So my agents, after David Fernandez and Broto, they got promoted no, they don't go promote, but they did very well with airdrie. They have the options to sign for Livingston, and they promote the team to the SPL. So thanks to, I think, David and Sánchez Broto, they did very well. I mean, David Hay and Jim Leisman, they trust our agent, and they give us the opportunity to Kino and me to go there the first season in the SPL. And to be honest, for me, it was a big change because my experience in Portugal, it was not really good. It was not very comfortable for me. I was playing as a left back, and I just played like only 20 games in a season. And I went to Scotland without knowing anything, to be honest. So I was delighted because it was a great move for me because from the first moment, all the atmosphere, all the club, it was a family club. All the people at the club, supporters, my family, and at that moment it was my girlfriend. we felt very well. We were living in Edinburgh, and it was fantastic from the first moment. I think it was very helpful that we started really well the league, because from the first moment we were in the top 6, and it was a difficult fixtures, because we started with the Hearts at home. We won, I think, 2-1. I remember the game. But I think after that game, we have Rangers and Celtic very, very early. And after a run of results, we got very well. So that was fantastic for me, because obviously, yes, I was the chance to play here for a very good clubs. But I think to do your best as a footballer, you need to feel comfortable. And I felt like that for the first moment in Scotland, and I felt like it was in my family. So
yeah,
that's why.
So you kind of mentioned your relationship with David and Javier. So was it always the plan when you wanted to come here was because of them? So you were always planning on coming to Livingston. Was there any interest from other Scottish clubs, or was it purely Livingston?
Well, yes. When it was in Portugal, I have a chance first, because when I have a problem between Deportivo de La Coruña, at that moment was in La Liga, and Real Madrid. Real Madrid issued me, and I had for 6 months I couldn't play. We have an approach with Celtic. At that moment was John Barnes and Kenny Douglas, the manager. And I went there for training in November for a few days, but it was difficult time for me because I was recovering from an injury, so I wasn't on my best. And it was my first experience in there, and I didn't know anything about the Scottish League. But that was helpful for me, because a few months later I went to Livingston, and it was not new for me. And to be honest, it was very good for me as well, because I already knew David Fernandez, because David Fernandez played with me at Toledo in that club in the second A, because he was on loan from Deportivo de La Coruña, so he was already my friend. And obviously David and Sanchez Broto, they did a very good welcome, especially for Kino and for me, because obviously my English wasn't good enough maybe. And that was very helpful.
Jim Leishman was the manager then, as you said. He's known as a really massive character in Scottish football. So what was it like working with him? Did you think he was pretty strange, or did you kind of like his techniques? How did you find it as a player?
Well, yeah, to be honest, I think I felt that he was like a manager, but the right man was David Hay, because he was like maybe Gil Leishman was more like a very funny person who can speak with the media and important person for the fans, but the real knowledge of the game maybe was more of David Hay, So, but I think they did a good pair together.
Yeah. I think we've had quite a lot of ex-players of around the same era as you, and I think they all say the same thing.
Yeah.
So the club went on to finish third that year, which was absolutely incredible. But could you believe the success that you were having as a team, or did you kind of expect it because you were just playing so well and all the great individuals that were in the team?
Well, to be honest, talking about myself, everything was new for me, so I didn't have any expectations. When you are a new club in the SPL, your goal normally is to finish in, maybe 7, 8. It's a good position, because obviously the goal is to stay in the league for next year. But we have a very good dressing room, and the results got well from the beginning. We were a good bunch of different nationalities. Everything helped to start with. We have quality players, not only the abroad, the people from abroad, because, for example, I was surprised with the quality of David Bingham, for example, who was quite a good player. Everything started to go well, and obviously it was a fantastic season. I didn't think too much. When you are professional, you think one game, and after you think in the next game, but we finished there. It was fantastic.
So that season, and also another season, but in that one in particular, you've got your partnership with Marvin Andrews. What was he like to play with?
Well, to be honest, it was strange at the beginning because I think he didn't. He was away at the preseason, so I was playing alongside John. I don't know, remember her name now. Was a Scottish player. Was decent. It was quite good, but from the moment we were going to start the league, Marvin came back from, I think, the national team or something.
Uh-huh.
Well, Broto, especially Broto, who was the goalkeeper, he told me how were his strengths and maybe his weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I think I got used to play with him because he was very good, obviously, in balls in the air. So in Scotland, maybe there are more balls in the air than maybe in Spain.
Uh-huh.
That's good for me because especially in the last 10, 15 minutes when you are, and maybe we were like a good partners, maybe because he was better than me in that, and maybe I have another qualities that maybe he was not that good. So I think it was a very good partnership.
I forgot to mention in the questions about you being appointed vice captain, and obviously you took the captaincy when Stuart Lovell was injured. So was that something that was decided at the start of the season, or like how did that chat come about to become the vice captain?
I think that was. I think Davy Hay who decided, maybe Ian Leisman as well. Maybe they thought that even it was my first season in there, my English was a little much better than Kino's. So even if it was my first season, I could explain in English much better, and I improved quite fast. And maybe because of my previous career, or maybe my position as well. And I when I was playing, I like to speak a lot, and I was like a kind of coach inside the pitch. And well, it was a surprise for me because in Spain it's unusual that you are captain when you are new in the club. To be honest, we were a lot of new boys, no, but I assume that as with a lot of respect, and to be honest, I thought, Stuart Lovell is going to be always in the first 11 because almost of the time. But at the end, he was injured a few more games that maybe we wanted, and I was captain for a lot of matches.
The season after we finished third, the club obviously qualified for the UEFA Cup. And you scored the first ever European goal for Livingston. So how does it feel knowing that you're in the history books for Livingston forever with that achievement?
At that moment, you don't realize that it's going to be always in a record in the book. It was a strange situation because, to be honest, I only signed one season for Livingston, and I think I played quite decent because we finished there, and it was quite consistent. And my agent told me that maybe we could have a move back down to England. So we went looking maybe for a move to play in the first division in England or something like that. But the chairman of Livingston, he told me, okay, we want you here, and they offered me 3 years contract in a good money for that time at Livingston. And we explained Dominic King that we were looking for that move, but after a few, they signed Manu Dorado instead of me, to be honest. But they put me a deadline to get the offer, and my agent and me decided that, well, I was happy there, so I decided to sign a new contract. So at first I arrived quite late this season because Manu, it was only 2 weeks to start the season when I arrived, and Manu Dorado was going to be playing, I think, alongside Marvin Andrews, and I was lucky that Manu got an knee injury, And maybe that's why I started to play again bad in the few games from the first moment in the league. And it was quite strange because obviously I am a central defender. I don't score too many goals. And I remember that in 1 week I scored 4 goals because I scored versus Party Thistle, I think. We went to Vaduz and Liechtenstein and we scored in the European League. And after I scored 2 goals at home. So I scored in 1 week more goals than all my life.
Is there any goal that you scored for Livingston stand out, like over your whole time?
Well, maybe because of the stadium, the 1-each versus Celtic. I scored, I remember we were losing because Lugo Moracic scored a free kick at Parkhead. And we equalized just before halftime with, I think, Barry Wilson crossed the set piece and I scored a header. And maybe because of the atmosphere, I think that was maybe the one I like it.
Great goal, great finish. So in Europe that season, we obviously squeezed past Vaduz and set up the tie with Sturm Graz. Now we were demolished 5-2 in the away leg, but we won the home leg 4-3. So, but before the home leg, what was the aim of the squad? Like, did you think as a team that you could bring it back and get through, or was it just a case of just putting up a good fight?
To be honest, I was very surprised because in Spain, when you are smashed like this, especially because we were flying with some supporters in the same flight. And I remember that moment when we arrived to the airport and all the supporters were cheering up, well done, no, it's okay, you will do much better in the second game. It was a fantastic feeling. We obviously knew that it was difficult, but we tried our best and it was an enjoyable game for the supporters. And we knew that it was a experience, for the first time, and it's difficult because especially in Europe, I think other clubs have more experience in terms of tactic, and obviously you concede so many goals, it's difficult that you are going to get through, but it was a great experience.
So in the league that season that we were in Europe, the club struggled a little bit for form and finished in 9th place. What do you think that was down to? Was that because of personnel we lost, or? I
think it was a strange season because especially when you have another competition that you are not get used to, the 2 cups, some more new players, and all the new players don't shoot that good into the team, and some of them they went away, and it was a season with ups and downs, but at the end, it was another experience. The important thing, as I said, for Livingston, I think, has to be always stay in the league. We could stay in the league and enjoy the European experience.
So the following season would go on to be probably the most amazing for the club ever. But the season started with the Brazilian manager Marcio Maximo coming in. We've spoke to a couple of your ex-Scottish teammates about Marcio, who thought his methods were a bit wacky, but as someone who's come in from Europe, did you also find his methods a bit mad, or did you take
I think that was a very bad move. I don't know exactly what happened, but I think Dominic Kim made a strange move that maybe was the beginning of the end. Because at the end of the season, or in the February was when we went into administration. So that was very disappointed. Yes, at the end we won the league, and it was a fantastic achievement. But some of our teammates, they have to go away because of the financial situation. So obviously, the good good partner here was David Hay and Livingston. I know David Hay was in there, but it was because it was like, okay, a Brazilian here who was a coach of Ronaldo in under 15 or under 16 or whatever. But obviously, the methods are totally different. And he didn't speak English, so it's quite difficult when you don't speak the language. And that means that it was a season that at the end you are happy because obviously we end up with the trophy, no, of the League Cup, but finishes with the end of the era of Dominic Kim. So and after that, it was a different club. I stayed one more season because Alan Preston asked me to stay, and he offered me a deal of 2 years. Even I earned less money in 2 years than the year they took me off. I have a personal situation in my life that I just divorced with my ex-wife in there, and I decided to stay in Scotland. But obviously, Livingston was not the same anymore. After my fourth season, we stayed in the league, but I think the following season or 2 seasons later, they went down, and I think after another season they went into even third division. No, so it took a few years time to go back to what is happening now. That hopefully they cannot make wrong decisions and they can stay in the league always in the SPL, and maybe sometimes have the chance to play the League Cup or even classify for Europe. But it's very important that you have to know what are your goals, who are you. Obviously now you have a history of, I don't know how many years, but you are still a very new club compared to others.
Yeah.
But I imagine that Livingston is doing good things at the moment because obviously in the last few years they are in the SPL and they are doing good things, and this is the good thing.
So obviously you touched on winning the League Cup with Livingston. So what was that like? You also touched on the administration and stuff like that, which was horrible in a game. We sort of spoke to a few of your ex-teammates about that. But at what point in that League Cup run did you think we had a chance of winning it?
Well, to be honest, the semis, I think we went through a penalty at the end of the rally or something like that. So it was a very strange day because that day Dominic King told us that what was the situation of the club. So we played that game knowing that something was happening in the club. Mm-hmm. So, but I think after we went into the final, we knew that we have a chance. We have a chance, especially because Hibs eliminate Rangers of 30. That is a obviously easier way to maybe play that. Mm-hmm. We were not the favorites. We were, underdog, she said in English, something like that, underdog team. So you go to Handem and there are like 7,000 Livingston supporters and the rest of the stadium is all green. But we were lucky that they started quite strong the first 10-15 minutes, but we defend quite well. And after that, to be honest, we play quite well, and we have a key player back into the club. That was David Fernandez, who in terms of attack, he makes a difference. And that's it. It was a fantastic experience. The only thing that some Spanish boys in another one couldn't enjoy, like I remember Kino or Camacho, who started the season and they couldn't stay there, and some other guys. So, well, fantastic feeling, but at the same time, too many changes for it's not easy when something is under turbulence that you get achievement. In that case, we got achievement in a very strange situation. But we knew it, I think, after we went into the final, that we have a chance.
Earlier you touched on, obviously a lot of players were let go at the end of the cup winning season. You stayed on under Alan Preston, but then he unfortunately lost his job and Richard Gough came in and we stayed up. in the 2004-5 season, again through the skin of our teeth. But what was the feeling in the squad when Alan Preston left and Richard Gough came in? Was there a bit of a lift, or?
In terms of myself, it was a very bad thing, because the only reason I stayed at Livingston was because Alan Preston was there. Because a lot of movements, very different, a new board. I knew how the club was working with Dominic King, but I didn't know how it was gonna work with the new situation. But I trust Alan Preston, and I said okay. And obviously we got a very bad results, and the board decide to change. And obviously Richard Gough, he has an impressive CV as a player, but he didn't have any experience as a coach. Maybe it's not the best combination when a club is in trouble. At least he came with, I don't remember his name, sorry, an old guy who came from Manchester United, who was assistant coach, I don't remember the name. But at least this guy, he had knowledge, and he could help us a little bit, and at least we could stay in the league. That at the end is the goal of the club, and especially because the budget decreased a lot, and obviously with less money we lost a lot of quality players. And even myself, I didn't feel as comfortable like in the previous seasons. I used to play every single game, and Richard Gough decides sometimes that I have to stay on the bench or something like that. But at that moment I decided that maybe it was my time to move back to Spain. And that's it. It was lucky, because I am glad that I left Livingston in the SPL. And I was disappointed when I saw that a few years later they dropped a few seasons, no? So a few leagues, a few divisions. So, well, from the distance now, I am very happy to see Livingston back into these days.
Are there any of your ex-teammates that you keep in touch with, even now?
Yeah, I went to Ibiza last summer with my family, with my girlfriend. Well, I'm going to get married the 8th of May again. In 1 month time. My girlfriend has a son of 11 years old. We went to Ibiza, and Kino is living in Formentera now. So I went to Formentera on a boat with a friends of Ibiza, and I called Kino, and he came into the boat, and we went together. I can send you the picture later.
Yeah.
And I don't know I don't have any information about Sanchez Broto, to be honest. I spoke a lot with Manu Dorado. I tried to be in contact with Manu Dorado. I visited him in Paris a couple of times.
Nice.
So yes, and Bingy, I went to Edinburgh. I think 2 or 3 summers ago, and we have a dinner with Stuart Lovell, Bingy, Murray the physio came to the Marvin Andrews. So yeah, we try to keep in touch, and yeah, good memories. Is that the good thing about football?
Is there anything, if you could choose one moment from your time at Livingston to relive again, like a specific match or the cup final or the European games, if you were only allowed to choose one,
well,
what would it be?
Maybe these 3 times when we won the cup final, because I know that many people were very happy because of that. It was the first time in the history. Maybe the goal I told you at Parkhead versus Celtic, because it was a very good goal, and obviously the one in Europe as well, because I didn't know at that moment that thanks to that goal we go through to the next round. So, but it was an amazing experience, especially because we play in a small country. Maybe these 3 moments. Maybe these 3 moments are my best 3 moments. Well, and maybe my wedding in Scotland, like with my kill.
Yeah, amazing. I obviously warned you about the five-a-side question. So, said, goalkeeper, 4 outfield players, made up of ex-Livy teammates. Who have you gone for and why?
Goalkeeper, Broto, Sánchez Broto.
Yeah.
Because he was special, and he was in the right moment in special games. Well, Roddy McKenzie would be the second one, but I think Broto is the top quality player as a goalkeeper.
What about the 4? If you had to choose 4 outfield players, who would they be?
Well, that's difficult. Well, obviously, one has to be Fernandez. David Fernandez was a top man, and he was a top class player. It was like I don't know, when comparing, like, for example, it was our Messi.
Yeah.
You know, in the team. But obviously, I think I would like to say Kino, because Kino did a fantastic season, especially the first one.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say all Spanish, because I don't want to say. But because I was surprised, for example, with the top 3 Scotties, I would say David Bingham. I like it, Stuart Lovell, but in the second or third season is more than 4. I know. Sorry, but I was surprised as well with David McNamee and Barton O'Brien. These 2 guys, they make a good impact for us. So from these players, and of course, well, I would say Marvin Andrews, because Marvin Andrews helped me a lot at the back. So I don't know how many players I already said. Maybe I said a lot, but
more of a 7-a-side now.
It's a futsal team. It's fine.
Okay.
Nah, that's amazing. But nah, honestly, Oscar, that was unbelievable. Thank you so much for doing that, man.
Thank you to you. Thank you. Thank you to you. And it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Cheers.
It's for you. Ciao.
The script described it in their truly atrocious song. Standing in the Hall of Fame, yeah, and the world's gonna know your name, yeah. 'Cause you burn with the brightest flame, yeah, and the world's gonna know your name, yeah, and you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame, baby. Ahead of this weekend's game with Aberdeen, we've asked the gents to argue the case for their former footballing star that has played for both clubs and why they deserve a place in the joint Lions/Dons Hall of Fame. Does it make sense? No. Is it good content? Abso-fucking-lutely. There is one player that's already there, Mr. Jamie McAllister, due to his Aberdeen and CIS Cup exploits with Livingston. So who is going to be joining him? Owen, who are you arguing for the Hall of Fame? Now, I am going to put a time limit on this. We're treating it like Sharif Court, but just not officially. So you have 40 seconds to tell us why your player should be in the Hall of Fame. So who have you chosen?
Michael Hart.
Michael Hart. So your time to describe why Michael Hart deserves a place in the joint Livingston Aberdeen Hall of Fame starts now.
Okay, so Michael Hart came through at Aberdeen and played his first game when he was just 18 years old. He played 19 times before joining Livingston on loan in 2000. And then he played 25 times in total, helping us win the first division. At which point, he then joined us permanently in 2001 and helped us gain third place in the SPL, as well as qualification for Europe, whilst being deputy to Philippe Brancan and David McNamee. He only played 32 times, though, in 2 years for us, but rejoined Aberdeen again permanently and played 107 games and was arguably one of the most underrated right-backs in Scotland. He was fast, hard tackling, and a fantastic crosser of the ball.
Right, Owen went for Michael Hart and came up with some pretty compelling arguments for a fairly underwhelming player, apart from his crossing ability. We will go for... We'll go with Thomas next. Who have you chosen for the joint Livy Aberdeen Hall of Fame?
I have chosen the man, the myth, the legend, Greg Wild.
Yes.
Right, okay. So, Thomas, you have 40 seconds to somehow convince me that Greg Wild deserves a place in the joint Livy Aberdeen Hall of Fame. Your time starts now.
So I'm going to talk about him as a human being first. So when he played for Rangers, he took a voluntary cancellation of his contract to stop him getting redundancy pay, which would have taken the food off Rangers staff plates, which I think it just kind of sums him up as a person. He also once got sent off for kicking Willow Flood as well, which I think is a win for everyone. So on his Aberdeen, he managed to score for Aberdeen, which I think is a lot more than their current team can do. He scored in a 2-0 victory against Hibs, and he finished being very prolific. Scored with a goal every 3 starts for Hibs. And I'm not going to get him a bit about Livingston.
Hovey, you're up next. You've seen how difficult it is. Owen and Tam couldn't get their arguments in on time. So are you confident that your 40 seconds will be enough?
I can't do much worse than those two, can I?
So who have you chosen? Who have you chosen as your nominee for the Aberdeen Livingston Hall of Fame? Mr.
Eugene Daddy.
Oh, nice. Excellent. Again, completely left field. So, Povey, your time starts now.
Well, you know when you just get a player who is a legend and they don't even need to do anything? That is Eugene Daddy. However, things he did do, mad overhead kicks, absolutely outstanding. Might not have scored many of them, but they all count. They were class to watch. Entertainer to the highest order. Aberdeen, he scored one of the goals to beat Celtic 2-0, a legendary game that makes him a legend at the club. He started our first ever European game. He's a top laddie. Who's your fucking daddy?
Fair play. Nah, I enjoyed that one. Eugene Daddy might get a place in the Hall of Fame unless Jake can take over. And I'm having a wee go as well. I'm not going to pick myself though because that would be unfair. But I've found a fact on a Livy Aberdeen player that I think we should all know that deserves a place in the Hall of Fame. So, Jake, who have you chosen?
So my Hall of Famer is going to be David McNamee.
Oh, surely this will be easy. Right, Jake, your time starts now.
Right, David McNamee had 85 appearances for Livy, 4 Scotland caps, and he was a Kirin Cup winner. Okay, he had darting runs up the wing. He was similar to Devlin, but I would say better. He's a sexy bastard. He had 10 appearances for Aberdeen, but my God, in those 10 appearances, he did enough to get into the Aberdeen Hall of Fame. I spoke to an Aberdeen fan before this, and I said, do you know who David used to play for? And he went, oh, Forza Livy, eh? Anyway. So he's obviously well respected. A total Livy legend, a cup winner with us, and he rode a bike around the stadium like a fucking boss. David McNamee, welcome to the Hall of Fame, baby.
Right. So, as I said, I'm not going to pick myself unless there's some sort of unanimous vote. I have chosen Lee Miller.
Do you want me to do a time for you, Liam?
No, I'll time myself. Don't you worry. I'm not a cheat.
Okay.
I only really have 2 points to make. So, Liam, are you ready? Yes, Liam, I am ready. Let's go. My time starts now. Lee Miller is not only a playoff winning legend with Livingston, a Scotland international, he also had his most prolific spell in Scottish football at Aberdeen, where he scored 29 goals in 119 games. Now, the reason Miller should be in the Hall of Fame, this was a direct quote from his Wikipedia page. This was during his time at Aberdeen. Miller was the subject of a police report in April 2007 after bearing his backside in front of Dundee United supporters during a 4-2 defeat. Time. So not only did he get his arse out in front of Dundee United supporters in a new firm derby, it was during a 4-2 defeat.
That's very legendary.
Celebrate. So, I'm going to say that there's probably no unanimous vote for me to win with Lee Miller. Owen, your arguments were very compelling. I did like Michael Hart as a player. He was pretty decent. However, I just think he's missing that little bit. He does have a winner's medal for Livingston, I'll give you that. But he's just missing that wee bit of je ne sais quoi. Thomas. Greg Wild. No thank you. Absolutely no chance. No matter what you could say. The fact, I know you only had 40 seconds, but the fact that your whole argument was based on his behaviour as a Rangers player, when you know that we all hate Rangers, I just think was sickening.
I apologise. I'm sorry.
You're so staunch, Thomas.
It's down to David McNamee and Eugene Daddy based on the compelling arguments. Now, Eugene Daddy was my first favourite Livy player. The guy was an absolute legend. Loved him. However, for some reason, there is just something pulling me towards David McNamee.
Come here.
Because he only played 10 games for Aberdeen, and Jake still managed to find a fairly compelling argument. So, David McNamee, join your wing-back brother in the Livingston Aberdeen Hall of Fame.
So that's us for another week on the podcast. Make sure you check out our socials for our next special guest, who is in fact a Livingston record holder. Also, if you've missed any other podcasts or episodes from the other weeks, please go and check them out now across all good streaming platforms. So once again, thank you for listening. Forza Livy, #Lives in the Camp. See you next week.